Welcome back to another video where today we're going to be talking about three of my top picks when it comes to my construction tools. So I'm a general carpenter by trade, and I have a large amount of tools that I use on a daily basis. And I've gone through those tools and I've picked out the top three tools I think that I use during 2025 that I would say are my favorite. So what I'm going to do, because I can't remember the model numbers of each one of these tools, is I'm going to put a link to all of these tools in the description of this video. But we're going to go tool by tool here, and I'm going to talk about each tool and why I picked that tool. And I'm going to let you know at the end what my top pick is out of the three, which would be my top pick out of all my tools. So the first tool out of these three that I wanted to talk about is my impact driver by Makita. So this would be DTD 157. That's the model number it says here on this drill. So at the beginning of 25, I switched over to using this impact driver on a daily basis. So throughout 25, I installed a ton of kitchens. That was the most amount of kitchens that I've done over the last 3 years. And this impact driver, because of the tight compactness of this driver, it makes installing kitchen boxes extremely easy, because it can fit into tighter spaces when you're attaching those two boxes together, as well as it has different torque settings here when it comes to driving your screws. So because I did so many kitchens, I switched over to using this drill instead of my standard brushless Makita, which I find is really good for just rough framing if I'm doing walls or hanging items, things along those lines. And that drill is what I used for the big portion of 24. But because I had done so many kitchens in 25, I made the decision to switch over to this drill instead, and I am extremely happy with the results that it gave me throughout the year. And switching over to this drill for 25 was extremely easy because I already have a bunch of Makita tools, so I already had more than enough batteries on the platform to allow me to switch this over and run this one without needing to constantly change and replace batteries for this tool. So that made the process very easy for me. So the next tool that I wanted to talk about is my Makita SDS Plus. So we also did a few basements where complete build outs from foundation out. So we did a lot of rough framing this year for exterior walls. So the SDS makes it extremely easy to tack down those bottom plates. But also, with all the kitchens I did and the other amount of bathrooms that we had done throughout the year, I picked up a few core bits. So this is a 6-inch core bit for range hood vents, as well as I picked up a 4-inch core bit. And the SDS Plus made it extremely easy to get perfectly round core bit holes throughout the brick on these houses when we're running our vents outside. When it came to the 6-inch one, it did take a little bit more time because of the size of the hole, but the SDS really didn't have much of a problem doing it. I just had to switch the batteries. So I would drain out 2 batteries, swap to my next 2, and then I would at that point have the hole drilled out. When it came to doing the 4-inch holes, I could do that with 2 fully charged batteries, no problem. I didn't need to switch out the batteries at that point. So that made it extremely easy having the SDS. So we didn't need to go rent SDS Pluses or Maxes throughout the year, which was awesome. I had the tool handy all the time with me, as well as I picked up a pack out for it. So this pack out allows me to fit the SDS with 2 batteries and a charger inside of it with a bunch of loose SDS bits. The core bit does have to stay out on its own, but that's not a big deal. It's easy enough to bring that in and out when I know I'm doing a range hood vent. So this was my number 2 tool. At some points, it may have been nice to have a corded tool, but some of the job sites that we're doing, we don't have access to power exactly where we need it. So sometimes it's been a lot easier for me to run a battery tool. One of the guys I work with does have a corded tool. So I used that a few times throughout the year because I was able to run power to where I was working. But most of the time, I just use the battery SDS here. And the final tool that I have here is my Metabo 18 gauge brad nailer. So this tool I picked up in late 24, and I had a chance to use this throughout the entire year of 25. And with all the kitchens that I did and also all the other renos, this tool has come in handy. I have not needed to carry a compressor with a pneumatic nailer at all throughout the entire year, putting in fillers or panels with the brad nailer, or even doing large trim jobs. This and the small little 2 amp hour battery last me an entire day if I'm doing trim, or if I'm doing something with the kitchen work. I can get a week to 2 weeks of work without needing to actually charge this battery up when it isn't wintertime. So the nice thing about this tool is I work with a couple guys that have a DeWalt and a Milwaukee 18 gauge. And to be completely honest, non-biased, I'm a big Milwaukee guy. I'm not really a huge fan with DeWalt, but this Metabo nailer outperforms both of those nailers hands down. And throughout the entire year, I only had one jam on this nailer, and that was us installing hardwood crown onto a hardwood stacker. It didn't sink fully, and then we shot it a second time, and we ended up getting a jam inside. It was easy enough to take the tip of the gun apart to get that jam out, but throughout an entire year to only have one jam in the gun, that's fantastic. So I have been contemplating on trying to pick up the 23 gauge from Metabo. I have one of the guys that I work with that has the Milwaukee 23 gauge, and he says it's pretty good, but he gets a lot of times where it misfires or it doesn't fire at all, and he has to remove the battery, re-put it back in, and restart with it. Where I've had nothing but success with this 18 gauge. So I've wanted to pick up the 23 for smaller jobs where I don't want to have to fill so many holes or have the head showing. Now that I picked out the top 3 tools out of all the tools I use, this was extremely hard for me to narrow down to these 3 tools. But completely honest, to pick my number one tool, hands down, I had no issues looking at all my tools and going, this is my number one tool for the year for 25 that I used. So that number one tool has to be this Metabo 18 gauge nailer. Since I've purchased it, I've had nothing but success with it. I love using this tool. I really don't have anything negative to say about this tool. Honestly, this is the only Metabo tool that I do have right now. So I've contemplated on trying out some of their other tools. I've wanted to pick up, like I mentioned, the 23 gauge pinner, as well as their triple hammer impact driver. Those are 2 tools that are on my list that I'm probably going to pick up throughout 26 and give those a try. And if I do pick those up, don't worry, I'm definitely going to be doing a review on both of those tools. So these are my top 3 favorite tools that I picked out of all the tools that I have. So if you also work in the trades and you have a top tool you use for 25, or if there's a tool that you think I should pick up and try out, leave me a comment, like, and subscribe.